911.
I need the police here right now at Lake Isabella. They're taking us to Derek's body. I'm really scared.
A family's plea for help.
Now, get cops out here now, please, now, before somebody's killed again.
Help that would come too late.
God damn it!
Those who knew and loved 27-year-old Derek Wiley are still stunned at his brutal murder.
He was just a funny kid.
Derek's foster mom, May Lynn, raised Derek and his brother Taylor.
He's the only one of my kids that ever asked me to be his mom. And I still remember the look on his face when he asked me to be his mom. And I touched his cheek. I said, yeah, let's work on that.
Derek struggled with addiction and was no stranger to local police. He would routinely disappear at times, but when his family hadn't heard from him in weeks, they decided to go to police and file a missing persons report. Police initially did not take the report, saying there wasn't enough information and Derek was an adult.
But I wasn't surprised by it because I know it's a systemic issue for our people.
Statistics show Native men make up 75% of all Indigenous homicide victims.
Our men, they're missing a murder too. It seems like they keep being just left out of the conversation.
They're always talked about in the deficit. It's also asking, well, were they drinking? Are they an alcoholic? Are they a drug user?
Abigail Echohawk is with the Washington State Task Force for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and People.
It is a common story for police departments to not take the missing persons reports of Native people.
That's why our people have become experts at finding our own.
With no police support, that's exactly what Derek's family did. They launched their own search.
This is the house right here.
His brother Taylor started by tracking down the last people who saw Derek before he disappeared.
What about you, man? You all right?
Get up. I'm straight.
What's going on?
His cousins, Jordan and Jero Affo.
My name is Jero Affo.
Seen here on police body camera video during an unrelated disturbance call weeks prior.
Everything just happened so fast.
Taylor went to their home, hoping to find clues on where his brother was. Maybe they knew something important. Instead, he says he got a confession about the worst possible outcome.
I just asked him, I was like, where do you want me to go? I was like, where is he? And then he gripped my hand and he said, I killed Derek. I killed him. And as everything just kind of went numb.
Shaken, Taylor went to the Shelton Police Department for help, where he gave them this statement detailing Jero's confession.
He's like, I just choked him. I said, he's for sure not alive. No, he's not alive, man. He's not alive. I know he's not alive. I was sitting here looking at the eyes of somebody who just took my brother's life,
Derek's family say they begged Shelton PD for help in recovering his body and arresting his confessed killer. But that help was slow to come. Sheldon police say it's because the crime scene wasn't in their jurisdiction.
Once we got that information that they were going there, we reached out to Mason County Sheriff's Office and said, hey, this is the information that we have. We immediately notified them. But it's their jurisdiction.
On their own again, the family continued their search to find their brother by convincing Jordan Affo to drive them to Derek. Jordan took the family to Lake Isabella State Park.
Jordan gets out and he had his head down and I was like, let's go find him.
Where he led them to Derek's dismembered remains.
How could you do this? What is wrong with you?
Taylor's grief at this moment is captured on audio recorded by the family.
I can't believe this.
I know this stuff.
I can't see Derek, man.
That's why I said we should wait for the cop. We butchered him.
The family's cries reflect a sobering, sad reality for many Indigenous families.
I know that is pain and that has been amplified as a result of the lack of resources, of the way that her family was dismissed, of the way that she has continued to struggle to get justice for her son.
We tried to get somebody to come out here with us.
I wish you guys would have waited for law enforcement to get there before we did this.
But then it might not have happened.
Got 5 officers and 1 canine. That'll be us tracking.
Roughly 2 hours after Jero's confession.
I can't see the body. He's somewhere underneath these logs. They hit him in the little, water area.
Body camera video shows police finally arriving.
Well, we're not really looking. We're waiting for the crime lab to get out here, but he's in pieces out here.
Jordan Jordan and Jero Affo were arrested that night.
Because she's praying up and he's praying down, right?
These days, Malin's grief has a physical form.
Morning prayers for our missing and murdered is one of the stone sculptures that we just had installed.
Stone carvings she created while grieving Derek now occupy a very public space in downtown Seattle.
You know, that rock was born like, I don't know, 15 million years ago. And that rock knew that my son was going to be murdered. And it knew it was going to be part of my healing process. And it knew it was going to be a voice for our people.
Spin it this way. I want the woman's face facing me.
Her voice is now a part of the state task force for missing and murdered Indigenous women and people.
That way the Thunderbird goes through the trees.
Pushing for more police accountability so no other family has to suffer like hers.
And it's going to take the people to uphold justice. The people to say, no, we want accountability and we want it now.
For Facing Race, I'm PJ Randhawa.
So this is Alyssa when she was a baby, when she was first learning how to walk. Every day I have to get up and pretend I'm happy. This is all of our family.
Tina Russell is a woman haunted.
Do you know what it's like every day to walk around with a broken heart?
Broken, under the weight of a question that's cursed her family for 14 years. What happened to her niece, 21-year-old Alyssa McLemore?
I believe she was taken against her will. I don't know if she was killed.
In April 2009, Alyssa was a single mom, raising a toddler and living with her family in Kent.
Once her mom got sick and she had a baby, it made her grow up.
As she grew up, the 21-year-old became a dancer, active in the nightlife scene. She had been picked up by police in the past, but Tina says Alyssa was always there when you needed her. So when Alyssa got a call on the night of April 9th, 2009, that her mother was dying, she told her family she was on her way home.
But she would always come home, and she didn't come.
To the family's surprise, the next knock at the door wasn't Alyssa, but a Kent police officer. Police had received a frantic 911 call from Alyssa's phone.
On the 911 tape, Alyssa is asking for help.
Police never let Tina listen to the call, but they did provide her with a transcript.
There's somebody in the background telling her to come here. I don't know if they said, I'll hurt you or I'll kill you or something. And then the phone went dead.
Kent Police Detective Brendan Wales took over the case in 2017.
It's not very often that you have the voice of who you potentially believe is the killer unidentified on a recording.
Alyssa's family says it began to dawn on them the real danger she was in. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, more than 4 in 5 Native women experience violence in their lifetime.
It just hurts to know. And this is what I say, Native people fall through the gaps. It doesn't matter what she was doing in her life.
This intersection off Pacific Highway South in Kent is where Alyssa was last seen. Witnesses say she was getting into a green pickup truck with Oregon license plates. Alyssa's BlackBerry phone didn't have GPS, so investigators could never pinpoint exactly where the 911 call originated from or who the male voice on the line belonged to.
A few years later, I did ask to hear the tape, and I was denied that. Now it's a piece of evidence. Or maybe I know this guy's voice. Maybe I could recognize it.
14 years have passed. The family wants to know why not release this 911 call to the public.
As investigators, we don't want to taint the investigation by releasing that. We will be inundated with assumptions and conclusions and, for lack of a better term, a red herring of who it could be.
The detective told me he doesn't have manpower to take detectives from over here and put them on this old case over here. At that point, I sat and I drew on a board, this is where we're going to search first, and that's what we did.
So if the family makes a sweeping statement like, police haven't been to any of our searches, you say that's not quite the case?
Yeah, that's not, it's just, we're not in a position to say we checked here, we checked here, we checked here, because it's, notifying every place we don't find her, that's disappointing for everybody.
It's just a hard situation to be in.
Soon, hundreds of families like Tina's may be getting a powerful ally. Attorney General Bob Ferguson is championing a legislative effort to create a multi-million-dollar Indigenous cold case unit.
Especially when it comes to missing and murdered Indigenous women and people, we really felt and the task force believed that a specific unit dedicated to this work could help address and solve some of these cases.
And that brings us back to Lake Fenwick Park in Kent. 4 years ago, the family received a tip that Alyssa's remains were in the park.
I will not sleep at night if I got one tip that I did not follow up on. I can't say how deep it is.
While searching, they came across this deep abandoned well on the edge of park property. At the bottom, what looks to be a tarp.
I don't know what's under there, and my mind will always wonder until somebody does investigate it and say, nope, she wasn't there.
Kent police never searched the well or took measures to cover it up as a safety hazard.
We can't even get the city she's missing from to come and even take serious. They've never sent a team out here.
Based on the cell phone records, it's miles away from where even her cell phone would have been, and it just comes down to a time and resource of where it's at.
We pushed Detective Wales and the city to investigate and, at the very least, cover the well.
Like, that's a safety issue. A kid, a dog, anything can go down there.
The day after we spoke to Detective Wells, he and his partner came out to investigate. He confirms the well will be searched and investigated before it is filled.
This is one of my favorite pictures right here. I don't think I've ever shared that picture with anybody.
Meantime, life trudges on in Alyssa's absence. Her daughter is 16 years old and now helps in the search for her mom.
She helped me make flyers. She decides what pictures goes on flyers.
Tina hopes the burden of this horrible mystery doesn't haunt Alyssa's daughter into adulthood.
I don't want another family member in my family to die without answers. I don't want to die myself without answers, and the next generation have to pick up this search.
For Facing Race, I'm PJ Randawa.